Ezra Justice. Nate raised a finger to his thin, neatly trimmed mustache as though contemplating some great philosophical truth. "Think we can pull this off, Ezra?" Justice didn't flinch at the sergeant's familiarity. Most of the other men rarely referred to their leader by his first name, but Nathaniel York was not just a fellow soldier. He and Ezra were best friends, practically family. They'd grown up together on a large, prosperous Tennessee tobacco farm owned by Ezra's parents. Nathaniel York, however, was a former slave, legally emancipated by Abraham Lincoln, but emancipated a long time before that by his friend Ezra Justice. Even as a boy, Ezra had believed that all men were created equal and had defied his family's ironclad rules of relating to darkies. Against his parents' objections, he had formed a strong bond of friendship with Nate. Now, with both men fighting for the North, that friendship remained intact. Moreover, Nathaniel York hailed from good roots. His grandfather, also a slave, had gained great respect and admiration as a member of the Lewis and Clark expedition in 1803. For his part, Nathaniel York never thought of himself as enslaved to anybody. Despite the fact that his family worked long hours in the tobacco fields and lived in a shack at the back of the Justice property, bright, articulate, and deeply spiritual, Nathaniel had committed his life to God as a boy and had adopted Jesus' statement, "The truth will set you free," as his motto. When Ezra asked Big Nate to join him in setting other men free, Nate never hesitated. He'd fought throughout the war, a black man and a white man, side by side, with his friend Ezra Justice. Ezra peered down at the seemingly endless line of soldiers streaming out of the town. Getting to the supply line would not be easy, he knew. Getting out with their lives would be tougher still. He spoke to himself as much as to Nate. "We have to stop them, Nate. We have to stop them here." "Yes, sir." "Word from the North is that General Grant has Lee ready to do something desperate." "It's about time," Justice replied. "That siege at Petersburg has been going on for far too long. For the past 10 months, our men have been living in trenches all the way from Petersburg to Richmond. Grant's been putting the squeeze on them, and Lee's boys are getting nervous. General Joe Johnston's army in North Carolina is the South's last hope. If we can keep Johnston's troops from reinforcing Lee's, we might be able to bring this war to a close. If we can't," Ezra's voice trailed off. "If we can't?" Nate pressed. "If Johnston gets his troops to General Lee, they will be a formidable force against General Grant's army. They may be able to mount an attack that will split Grant's troops and break the siege. If they do that, a lot more men are going to die on both sides." Nate nodded and proceeded to brief Ezra on the readiness report. Sergeant Bonesteel has his .44 caliber rifle scope focused on the first ammunition wagon. Sergeant Whitecloud has his own brand of engine fireworks ready on the other side of town. He can't wait to get into the fight. I practically had to hold him down when he saw those Confederate cavalry boys. And the Hawkins twins are itching to try out their new invention they dreamed up for our enjoyment. Some wacky thing they call a satchel charge. Justice smiled at Nate's sarcasm regarding Roberto and Carlos Hawkins, two of the most ingenious young explosives experts he'd ever known. Nate would have been content to rely on good old-fashioned dynamite charges, but not the twins. The Hawkins brothers were constantly coming up with seemingly ridiculous new methods to destroy something, and Ezra learned long ago not to be so cynical. The twins' crazy inventions usually worked. Usually. Nate interrupted Ezra's ruminations. "And O'Banion wants to go down and try and talk them into surrendering." Ezra's mouth hinted at a smile as he thought of Sean O'Banion, the lovable, impetuous Irishman who in the past had preferred a bottle of good whiskey over fighting any day. Sean O'Banion believed that he could talk his way out of most any situation, and he often did. But this would not be a day for talk. Pass the word, Nathaniel. When the church bell strikes 3, let her rip. There's no way the 7 of us can stand a chance against their entire army. Our goal is to slow them down by taking out their supplies. Try not to get involved in combat with their troops any more than necessary. Otherwise, we will lose our element of surprise. We have to hit them hard and fast. Get in quickly and get out. If we take more than a few minutes, we're all dead men. Nate rose to his knees. Got it, Captain. He halfway stood up, brushed himself off, and repeated the command. Start the attack right after the bell strikes 3. I'll meet you back at the camp. God be with you, Ezra. Ezra nodded, but didn't look around as Nate slipped away. Here's hoping. General Joe Johnston's troops never knew what hit them. One moment they were trudging through town, complaining about their aching feet and how much farther they had to go before meeting up with General Lee. The next moment, just after 3 o'clock, when the church bell tolled for the 3rd time, the earth erupted. Preset dynamite charges blew dozens of soldiers closest to the supply train sky high. Many of the multiple sticks of dynamite tied together and buried just below the ground exploded almost simultaneously due to some long fuses rigged before sunup and now ignited by Harry Whitecloud. Huge craters ripped open in front of the supply train, bringing it to a halt. From his concealed location in the hills, Reginald Bonesteel squeezed the trigger on his Henry .44 caliber repeating rifle. The butt of the high-powered rifle kicked hard against Bonesteel's shoulder, but the British-born marksman kept on firing. A moment later, an enormous explosion blew the first ammunition wagon into a ball of flame. A second concussion followed, creating several more deafening blasts. By the 3rd and 4th rounds, bits of fiery wood were flying through the air, landing on the ammo wagons, following behind, igniting the canvas atop the arms wagons, turning that section of road into an inferno as well. Satisfied with his work, Bonesteel mounted his horse and kneaded toward the fire. With a double set of holsters strapped on the front of his saddle and another double set of guns behind the saddle, Bonesteel swept through a line of Confederate officers at full gallop, firing incessantly in every direction as he crossed the road. Men in gray uniforms who had been maneuvering the troops in their efforts to fend off the attack dropped in Bonesteel's path. A piece of shell winged the brazen Brit in his shoulder, but it didn't slow him down a bit. His steed's powerful legs stretched out as though in a race for dear life, and Bonesteel disappeared into the forest on the other side of the field. The sky around the supply train turned a gritty brown laced with orange. The acrid smell of burnt gunpowder permeated the air. The flames and smoke created so much chaos and confusion in the Confederate ranks that nobody noticed the lone rider racing toward the water wagons. When a soldier finally caught a glimpse of the rider wearing a blue jacket and a wide-brimmed hat, it was too late. The man on the horse blew the soldier into eternity. He flipped a lever on his specially designed LeMat, and the single-shot pistol became a blazing, rapid-firing repeater. Good thing, too. Ezra Justice needed all the firepower he could get. 3 or 4 Confederate soldiers converged on him, but Ezra eluded them. Justice felled several more gray coats as he dodged the musket balls whizzing by his ears. He took comfort in one of his own favorite sayings that he used often with his men. Don't worry about the lead you hear. If you hear the bullet, it's already gone by you. It's the one you don't hear that you have to worry about. Ezra knew that merely upsetting the wagon carrying the large barrels laden with water wouldn't be good enough. He wanted to destroy General Johnston's water supply. An army can survive a long time without food, but only a few days without water. Even if the troops kept moving northward, they'd have to stop for water before long, giving General Grant more precious time to drive toward Richmond. At full gallop, Ezra reached the water wagons and started firing, not at the soldiers nearby, but at the barrels containing the water. One by one, streams of water poured out of the barrels as, too late, the rebels realized the true targets of Ezra Justice's bullets. With his gun barrel hot, Justice danced his horse through the maze of dead bodies, mangled wagons, and other equipment. Getting to the supply line was one